What I did learn was sometimes you just got to go scared.
It's always something that's not right. So it leads to no relationship. Mm-hmm. Because when you have a relationship, you come with a different expectation.
Because a grace period for me to be late on my job, it's not there for me to abuse every day. Mm-hmm. It's there for in the event that something happens, that there's grace so that I can recover from that. Hopefully.
If you got something to talk about and you want to come holler at us, let us know.
You have to have courage, because you first have to be honest with yourself, and say, it's always you.
The prophetic needs grounding.
Yeah.
And order with it.
Yeah.
So that it can be understood a little bit better. Mm-hmm. And if it's too much going on at one time, and it's like what you said, a free for all.
It's confusion.
It's confusion, number one, and God is not in confusion.
Yeah, it's not that. I heard you having sex. Now, is it true? I'd rather hear it from the horse's mouth.
Gee, weird.
Not that I'm calling to pray for you, sis, and say, look,
I haven't seen you in a while, just making sure you're all right.
Well, I'm not a professional. I never even thought I'd write a book.
Hi, I'm Erica.
And I'm John.
And welcome to the Den Podcast, where we have honest conversations for navigating faith, purpose, and identity. Every guest has a story, and every story has a den, the place that tested them, shaped them, and taught them something about God, life, and themselves. We want to welcome you all to another podcast. And today we have our special friend guests, the Kellys, Prophet Brandon and Doina Kelly. Let's give it up for them. And so we're very excited to have you on the podcast. Thank you guys for accepting our invitation. We're going to read through their bios and then we'll get started.
All right, so I'll start with Brandon. Brandon Kelly, born on November 26, 1982, is a passionate leader whose life bridges faith, leadership, and marketplace influence. A graduate of Hope High School in Hope, Arkansas, class of 2002. He briefly enlisted in the United States Air Force before pursuing a unique path of service and leadership. He is licensed and certified biblically in biblical cognitive behavior therapist, and has received specialized training and certification in interviewing, interrogation, and behavior analysis. While serving professionally in the marketplace, Brandon has remained deeply committed to the call of God. He was licensed as a minister in 2003 and ordained as an elder in 2006 through Unlimited Outreach Ministries located in Hope, Arkansas. In 2015, his life took a dramatic turn when the Lord directed him through a dream to relocate to Michigan, a step of faith that marked the beginning of a remarkable new season of life and ministry. Since then, he has been affirmed as a prophet under his to obey, H2O, global network through the apostolic leadership of Apostle Dr. Arsenio Finley, who has since went home to be with the Lord. He was most recently affirmed under the leadership of Apostle Clarence Hawkins at Victory Nation. Today, Prophet Brandon Kelly serves as founder and leader of Prophetic Empowerment Ministries Incorporated with his wife, Prophetess Doina Kelly.
Whoop, whoop, who is right here. And Prophetess Doina Kelly is a Flint, Michigan native. She is a prophet, a wife, an actress, a vocalist, a comedian, an event host, a theatrical music director, an acting coach, a health and wellness coach, a life coach, a mentor, and a business owner. What don't you do? She is her father's youngest of 7, her mother's only surviving child, a 3-time divorcee, the wife of the Prophet Brandon M. Kelly. She has lived in Georgia, Florida, Texas, and now Michigan, is the co-leader of Prophetic Empowerment Ministries Incorporated, and has had all of the businesses. And she has been in multiple productions with Terrence Carter, Mama D from Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, Willie Taylor from Day 26, Darren Henson from the family business Young Jock, and a host of other actors, producers, and talents. Let's give it up for the Kellys. Whoop, whoop. My goodness. What a
That's a list.
resume.
That is.
Jeez. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So, if people are meeting you for the first time, we have listed everybody's titles, top to bottom, all the things that you are. What is the one thing that we have not mentioned in your bios that you would want someone to know about you?
You want me to go first?
Sure.
One thing that I did not mention is I was born in LA, California, at the same hospital called Boardman Memorial Hospital, which is the same hospital that Michael Jackson got well in and got treated for his burns.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
That's a fun fact.
Mm-hmm.
That's very interesting.
My turn.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let's see. I crochet. It's fun.
Like in real life?
Yeah.
Like you crochet things or hair?
oh no, not hair. Like
Okay.
actually like blankets and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
I
It's fun.
tried to crochet in elementary school and I could never finish or end it. So I figured it wasn't for me.
Yeah, I didn't. It became a blanket. I thought it was gonna be a scarf. It was too long, so I just kept going. Yeah.
It worked out.
Could have been a prayer shawl.
Right.
See?
That part. Well, can you make a prayer shawl crochet though? Well,
Absolutely.
listen, we don't judge here. Amen. Amen. And so, okay, so we want to know all about your story and what your faith walk has looked like. You can start as early as you would like to, but starting with you, Prophetess Doina, like what is your faith story? Like, how did you come to Christ, and what did that journey look like?
Okay.
On a cold winter day at no, I'm just playing.
Listen, back in 19. No, for real. So I mean, it was really in when I was in single digits, right? Like I
Mhm.
remember, so my parents divorced at 5, right?
Okay.
So my dad is like to this day like hardcore old school Baptist, right?
Okay.
I learned about the prophetic and things like that from my mom. So when they divorced, we started going to like a non-denominational church.
Okay.
And so I just remember this one Sunday, because they were very, adamant about getting the youth involved and all this kind of stuff. And we used to have like multiple services, and like you didn't even know how long it was. You was in church, and so
You
like
don't know
people
where one
start
service ended, another one
listen,
began.
and then like the whole like casting out of demons and stuff would happen.
Uh-huh.
Get the kids, put them in the basement,
Mhm.
and I was always a kid peeking around the corner like this, like trying to figure out what was going on upstairs.
Mhm.
So I remember one specific Sunday, like I just felt like I was on a cloud. It was like just I felt like I was in an air bubble, and I was just I was praying, I was in service, and then all I heard was like, oh my God, like just say something, just and when I opened my eyes, like my whole face was wet. So I was crying. And at this point I was shaking, and like when my eyes were closed, I didn't know or feel anything.
Mm.
Right.
Mhm.
And so like then I opened my eyes, and it's like a host of like all the mothers is
Mm.
around me.
Mhm.
Just say something. I was like, I was a
Mhm.
little traumatized in that moment. But
Mhm.
before that, I was fine. When it was
Mhm.
me and Jesus, we was good.
Mhm.
And then I opened my eyes, and the people, I was like, oh God, But I think God really just started dealing with me that early.
What
You know
age
what I'm
was that?
saying?
You remember?
I was probably like, I couldn't have been no more than about 7, maybe
Okay.
somewhere around in there.
Mhm.
And so, I know in high school, I started kind of like, even though I was, I had stepped, I sidestepped a little bit, you know what I'm
Okay.
saying? But, I still was,
Sidestep.
I did, but I was on this journey to learn about Jesus and
Mhm.
get closer to him. And I knew that he would talk to me and say certain things to me or whatever. So there would be times where I would just sit down and I would just write, and my face would be wet, and I'd just be writing.
Mhm.
And then I would have sessions where like the Lord would just be like, just hang out with me. And so I would shut my bedroom door and like turn my music on, and it was just me and my my gospel music. And so I think that all of those things kind of led up to where I was going,
Mhm.
but I didn't know I was on that journey yet. So
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so when the experience happened when you were 7,
mhm.
do you feel like that was when you made the commitment to Christ, or did you feel like it was a experience and you were aware, but it was a different point in your life where it was like, okay, Jesus, it's me and you, and we gonna walk this thing out together, hand in hand?
That's a very good question. I'm gonna say it didn't happen for me. I always had like a reverence for God.
Mm-hmm.
But I was either hot or cold.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was cold, I'm out and I'll see y'all later, because I'm not finna sit in here and play with y'all. Like, you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And if I was on fire for God, I was on fire for God. So I had a lot of those bouts where it was like I wove in and out.
Mm-hmm.
I really think I started getting serious about God, like for real, maybe around 2021, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because I just kind of, for a while I was doing my thing, or things would happen and I would get angry.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And I'd be like, okay, Lord, well, don't you see this? Don't you see that? You saw what this, what happened here. Times where you praying for folks and, you know what I'm saying, you tied on the floor and you go home to Armageddon, you trying to figure out why,
Mhm.
And so there were those bouts of, inconsistencies with me, because I was like, you know what? This is a bit much. I'm gonna be back. You know what I'm saying?
I know
And
all
so,
about it.
yeah, and I was like, Lord, I love you. Don't kill me. I'll be back. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real, just don't let them kill me while I'm out here. I'll be back. That was really,
That was your for real prayer.
that was my, I was sincere,
Yeah.
But I think about 2021, because I was like, okay, this is like a hamster wheel. Like, I can't get away from it. No way.
Mhm.
And so I realized, I said, okay, every time I step out, I end up somewhere that I probably shouldn't be, and I get stuck there for a while. You know what I
Okay,
mean? And
yeah.
so I was like, you know what? I'm sick of it. So let me just kind of hang in here and just see what the Lord wants to do. And so, yeah.
Well, amen. Prophet Brandon.
Yes, yes, ma'am. So with me, I was not born in no church family.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember a day I was my mom had a best friend, and the best friend had a mom. Her name was Mother Hazel Simpson. God bless her. So she ended up passing not too long ago. And so me and my brother was outside one day, and she came over to the house and like, and let me take the boys to church. Let me take the boys to church. And so she said, y'all want to go to church with me? I said, yeah, okay, I'll go to church. You're a kid, so I want to go to church. So
It's something to do.
right. So yeah, I'll go. And so we ended up going that day. This is Haynes Chapel Missionary Baptist Church in Hope, Arkansas. And instantly, the first thing that drew me was the music. I'm like, okay, I like this. So now during that time, now mind you, I didn't grow up in no really, church family and stuff like that, right? But during that time, I was my favorite artists at the time were like Jodeci, TLC. What about your friend? Doing all that. Until one day, I heard a song by still my favorite artist, Kurt Franklin, and I heard one of his songs, and that thing it got a hold of me. And I had no desire for any more secular music. And I didn't even ask. I did not ask to take it away. I had no desire once I heard his music.
Oh, wow.
So the music part drew me in, when I, of course, I ain't Missionary Baptist Church. And then from there, I ended up, now during that time, I ended up getting baptized there. It wasn't nothing really dramatic, to me. I didn't want no near-death experience or anything like that. It's just the music drew me in, and I feel like that was the point of I surrendered to the Lord. Right, getting saved, got baptized, and at the church, and started getting into music. I remember, I was at this program, and everybody was playing ball and sports, and there was a piano. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go and just sit down and play it. And I got on. I thought I was doing something, and I went home. I said, Mom, I want a keyboard for Christmas. So I did that, and start playing. I was playing for a church in high school. That's all. Was getting money at the time, and then from there, I was like, man, there's more to God. I started watching TBN.
I know all about TBN, honey.
Praise the Lord. Good morning,
Yes.
somebody, and you hear Dr. Juanita Bynum, and then you got the Bishop Eddie Long, and you see them operating. And I'm like, now I'm a teenager. I'm like 15, 16. I said, oh, I want to do that. I want to do that. And so during the time, I'm in this Baptist church, so it wasn't no Ikabasha, it wasn't no the Lord said, it wasn't no laying on hands, it wasn't no layout sheets, there wasn't none of that. But I feel like there was more to God than what I had got introduced to, right? And so I remember I said, well, I heard about fasting. Now, here I am, a 16, 17-year-old boy, heard about fasting. Not at church. I was watching Praise the Lord, the Christian TV show. I said, I think I'm going to try that. As a 16, 17, I said, Lord, I wrote down, I said, Lord, because by the time I learned how they were operating with spiritual gifts, I said, Lord, I want to operate in spiritual gifts. So I wrote down and I went on a fast. And one day, God used wisdom. You can't start fast and do a 3-7 days. Right.
You can't do 24 hours if the Lord didn't tell you.
So I did a whole 1 day fast. Now, mind you, I'm a teenager. I didn't trap myself in the room, fasting with people that don't understand church. So they're probably already looking at me crazy. Right. But I wanted something. I was looking for something. Yeah. And so I just kind of trapped myself. I did not come out for 24 hours. I was in my bed laying down, and I'm saying, just listen to my gospel music. I had my headphones like they got here right now, and I was laying down, and 24 hours was over. My mama cooked a spaghetti meal. I got ready to fix me a plate. I went into our den at the time, and Bishop Jakes was on. Manpower, which I had actually went to in person. They had a rerun on TBN. And so Bishop J started talking. I kid you not. I was like, it's like it just came. I could not stop it. Wow. And I got so that I crawled on the floor, and I crawled from the den all the way to my keyboard that was by the kitchen. And by that time, at this time, my brother was in the bed talking to some girl. Here I am, God dealing with me. Right.
Speaking in an unknown.
Right. And so from there, I believe that's when God began to really stir me. And I really began to really go after God. I was definitely different. Not saying that I didn't encounter some backslidden times. Right. I know y'all wonderful folks out there, but I experienced that.
What age was that around?
Now that you talking about
when you experienced that experience with God?
Oh, God, that was like 16, 17.
Okay.
16, 17. I learned that that's when God usually deal with people, especially he has a hand on your life. He start with you young, right? Yeah. And so, but yeah, so that's that. Like I said, I've been definitely my salvation. It wasn't like hard for me. Everything God has done with me in my life has not been at the altar. It's been in my house or when I'm just by myself.
Yeah,
personal.
That's very interesting. Yeah, you got something?
No, you can go.
Oh, okay. All right. So this is so interesting. I have so many questions, but I'm gonna stay on task. Yeah. Okay. So I know it's so good though. Okay. So I'll go back to you, Prophet Doina. Okay. So you had this experience with God at 7, and then I ain't here.
That sounds similar to yours.
It does. Very, very close. Very close. But you didn't get into relationship with him until 2021 for real. So yeah. So what did, I ain't trying to tell your age, but what did 7 to 2021? What
did that entail?
Yes.
Oh. Okay, so
the expedited version.
Yeah, right.
Because that breath told me everything I needed to.
There's a lot in there.
She'll take you now. She'll take you.
To tell your story. Right. So essentially, I mean, child, I started like I went out probably at like 12. So I started,
I'm
I'm
sorry,
out at
what?
12.
yeah, like I started, I like the first time I ever smoked weed was 12.
Wow.
What was,
Bless
what was
the
your
man of God. Don't
parentals?
fall out.
What was your parental?
Yeah, well, so I mean, so I was out of town. I was with cousins.
Okay.
You know what
Oh,
I'm saying?
anytime
They
you
thought it
with
was cool.
Yeah,
cousins.
you
No,
know,
they
you be
they
all right.
introduce
the
you to
older,
everything you need to know.
cousin.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the older cousin.
Dang.
They
And
gonna,
it was
they
the
gonna
younger
teach you
ones of
everything
us.
you need to know. Them
Yeah.
Everything you don't need to know.
Yeah, all of that. And so like, so 12, I was smoking, Mary Jane. By 15,
Young people are like,
I went full blown, like, promiscuity at that point.
Child, I thought you was gonna say cocaine. Go
Oh
ahead.
no, I didn't. No, I have not done
Wow.
that.
I was about to be like full blown, like wow.
dang,
Oh,
you just took her all the way
I
to the
know.
end.
I gave a whole different
That's
testimony.
the end right
I'm
there.
so sorry.
Go ahead, just go off. You just pushed her
That
right
is
on off.
funny to me, but yeah, no. But yeah, like so, I went like I lost like a lot. My way went a different way.
Mhm.
Okay.
12, then boom, 15. But what's interesting is like I remember I've never been like a cliquey person.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And I think that's the like the evangelistic side of me. Because I know like that's kind of like heavy on me, even though that's not necessarily what I don't know. I guess it might be as potent as some of the other things, right? But it's just like I never meet a stranger. Like if I'm in a group of people, I'm gonna go to the person that's in the corner, not talking to nobody, like, hey, you know what I'm saying? You good? What's up? What you here for? That sort of thing. And so like they would always invite me to parties in high school, and then eventually they started answering themselves, right? Because I was in sports and all that. So then they'd be like, well, like you coming to the party and somebody be like, girl, she ain't coming. I'm like, you know what? I love you for asking and I love you for knowing I'm not gonna be there. But I want y'all to keep asking me because I love y'all. You know what I'm saying? And it would be that kind of thing. Like they just knew. So I was not conforming to those atmospheres, but I still was kind of veering off in my own way. You know what I mean? To do other things. Got married at 19. And I did that before. But amen. I didn't know anything about love or, commitment or covenant. Like covenant. I didn't learn that till way later. You know what I'm saying? And so I was in this thing that was supposed to be covenant, had no concept of covenant. Like marriage was rampant, or divorce rather, too, rampant on both sides of my family. So I just kind of was like, well, if I don't like them, I just put it back in, just throw them back out there with the rest of the fish.
Help us, Lord.
And but that's all I knew. That's all I had seen. I hadn't had any marriages that was close enough to me.
But what would make you want to get married in the first place if you was out here living your good life? And you were young, right?
I definitely was
19.
So I mean, I think it was the whole promiscuity thing, and then knowing what God would want. You know what I'm saying? And so essentially, I kind of was like, well,
he was trying not to feel guilty.
We were trying not to go to hell.
Oh, okay.
In gasoline draws.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was,
just on
regular,
just on the speedboat,
and it wasn't, you know what I mean. And it wasn't my idea.
Hold the gas.
Yeah, that thing wasn't even my idea. So it was so impromptu, like, so you know what I mean. But I agreed. I was like, sure, why not? And so then that didn't necessarily work out because I was the hellion and I had no idea. And then so moving past that, lots of relationships that were not good. So I mean, abuse, like even physically, like lots of infidelity, you know what I'm saying? Because I was choosing wrong, you know what I mean? I hadn't seen any successful like relationships or marriages. It didn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just didn't know what to look for.
Yeah.
I love my father, and I know my father to this day, he's still in my life, but I just didn't have the other, the other piece of that, right?
Yeah.
And so essentially got married, second time, married an atheist. Well, he wasn't atheist when I married him. He became atheist. And so, I tried to turn the Lord's no into a yes. And, that didn't work because he said no. And I was like, well, if I marry him, that's like the God thing to do, right? That's like the rightly thing to do for Jesus.
A modified no.
Yeah. And so, right. And so that modified no got me,
a hard no.
Oh, my God. And so then he was like, okay, so now you done did it, sit in it for a while. And so, I had to learn how to do the whole sanctified, wife sanctifies the unsanctified husband. If he is pleased to
Jesus.
stay, let him stay. So that because I was flipping like, okay, it got to be a way out of this.
It's got to be something in the scripture that'll get me out of here.
Listen,
What about the Old Testament? Let me look. The New Testament ain't helping me out at all.
Listen.
Something in Lot's story got to help me.
Listen, I mean, can he just turn into a pillar or something? But it didn't happen that way. And so now I see what God was doing even in that too, because he uses everything. But yeah, got stuck in that for a while. So I was like, okay, so after that didn't work, and I dove in with the Lord, right? Because I needed God, because I felt like the whole rug was pulled from up underneath me. I said, okay, God, what do I do now? So I had no choice but to really cling to God, because that was really my outlet. Like I would go to church and I would get filled and poured into, and then I would go home and it was like Armageddon. You know what I'm saying? And so essentially, I got tired after that, because we think most of the times that when we are doing what God is asking us to do, that he's going to fix the thing the way that we want him to fix it.
Correct.
And
when we want to fix it.
Exactly. On our timetable and not his. But here's the thing: if he never sanctioned it, he's not required to fix it. And so like that was a lesson I had to learn. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, no, because now you try to, it's a little witchy because now you praying, but you're trying to pray for something that you know what I mean? You're trying to bend my will with your prayers when I told you no in the first place. You know what I mean? So he had to bring me back around to that place, right? And so then after that, I was like, you know what? I'm a little tired. I just I'll be back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'll be back. And so essentially kind of fell away there, and then got married a third time. And so got married a third time. It was like a form of godliness literally on both of us. When I decided I was going to straighten up, he was still doing the same thing. You know what I mean? And so it was like, oh, okay, so now this becomes a heart issue, because now as my heart is for God, like he ain't doing nothing different, right? Because I met him when we was both doing the other thing. You get what I'm saying? And so he's not required to turn because I did. Right. You get what I'm saying? And so essentially had to walk that out somewhere along that line. About 20 years old, the Lord told me that he tricked me and told me I was a prophet. That was back in 20 years old.
Who tricked you?
The Lord that God.
You're still a prophet. How was that a trick?
Well, no, he tricked me because I was trying not to be that. I was like, I was prepared to just sing and pass tissue, But I was seeking him for real.
But you was 7 years old on the cloud, and you thought you was just going.
Ain't nobody know.
Okay,
I didn't know. I had
I understand.
no clue that I was born that way. I didn't know. Can I get his back? Listen, I think
you made a mistake.
Because see, when people be really badly wanting it, that's strange to me. So, but that's a whole nother topic. So, but yeah. So I walked that out, and then after that, I said, Lord,
I surrendered. So that, for real.
Right? No, yeah, because it was within that marriage that I said, okay, you know what? No matter how this turned out, where am I going? Yeah, I keep doubling back anyway. Right. You know what I'm saying? I keep landing right here. And I feel like as I keep coming back here, I keep losing things. So it makes no sense for me to continue to hamster wheel this. I just may as well stick in here and move forward. And literally, me too, making that decision, no matter what happened, and all the happenings happen, believe me. So, but in doing that, like, it literally led me quite quickly once the Lord released me from it and released, me from the marriage and from all the instructions that I was getting and all of that. It really wasn't that long after that maybe about a year, I would say, maybe about a year or 2 years until
that the prophet that you got illuminated to the prophet.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he already knew I was. It's just like, I guess. I don't know. And I was available by then.
But you know what's so crazy?
I was about to say, what you got to say?
What's crazy is that at this time, this is when Apostle Finley was still with us, and we had because we usually met every Sunday, right? And
that was both of you all spiritual leader.
Yes, at the time. And so she had come. I think you had sung that night.
It's possible.
Yeah, that's possible. And so I remember that particular day. It was me and Prophet Asa, and we were just talking to her. We both begin to prophesy to her, right? And in my mind, it was nothing. I just wanted to continue loving being single, so I showed up when trying to hit on this girl, right? So not in my mind. So we began to prophesy, and I remember prophesying, and I said, I do know by natural knowledge that you were married, but God says the husband that He's going to give you in the future, y'all gonna do this, you're gonna do this, and you're gonna do this. And not knowing, I didn't prophesy to my own self in her life.
He prophesied to
Oh
himself.
my goodness.
That's crazy.
I would have been so bad at God. Like, why you
God
ain't give your hands up about this?
He did.
You got me out here.
Through him.
Right.
That's
So,
the biggest heads up you ever
He
gonna
didn't know
get.
it was him, though.
That's the biggest heads up you ever
the
gonna
word
get.
came to pass.
Yeah.
Wow.
In my mind, I wasn't thinking I'm going to be a husband. No, I'm just as I was led.
Yeah. And just giving the words
Right.
that the Lord told you
Right.
to give.
Right.
That's
How many years
crazy.
ago was that? Probably.
Ooh.
Because y'all been married a year.
No, it's
Almost,
going
yeah.
Coming up on
almost
a year.
yes, in
Yeah.
September.
I remember being there.
That was probably maybe
That was 2024.
yeah.
It was after a service in 2024.
Yeah,
because
so it's been like
RTP.
like a year or two before we end up connecting
Yeah.
like that.
Wow.
That's crazy.
And
Yeah. So, Prophet Brandon, what's your story? So you didn't got the Holy Ghost with Bishop Jakes in the living room
at home.
at home in the living room.
Did you give him a tithe after that? No.
No, did I end up
just-
doing it?
Did you tithe into that?
Please don't
You
listen
just
to
sow
him.
it.
Please, y'all. Please.
But go ahead.
But no, so okay, so we know you today to be Prophet Brandon, right?
Mhm.
And Apostle Brandon. But like what did your journey look? Because it seemed like you was always once you got a taste of Jesus, you was kind of always in the faith. Is that true for the rest of your life, or was there
Well, I mean, at
a
the
veering?
time, well, there was there was definitely a time that that I was seeking God, but I was struggling with my identity.
Okay.
Struggling with some sexual things, and so I had that going, and and it's just stuff, but I still wanted God, right? And so and even at that time, I began to grow, and then I began to I don't know. I think that one of the major things, because I was still in high school, ended up graduating high school, going to the Air Force. I really didn't want to go to the military. I wanted to go to Bible college. And specifically, I wanted to go to World Harvest Bible College under the direction of Rod Carson. I had got my application, everything, we written out everything. But when you're a teenager and your parents want you to do something else, but you have a heart to do something else, but you
gotta
don't-
follow instructions.
Yeah, but you don't want no friction. So I'm like, well, I guess I'll go to the military.
Dang.
And that didn't quite work out so good because I wasn't supposed to go there anyway. However, I got principles. Because one thing about the apostolic is that they can be militant.
Yes.
So however, so just go for it. So yeah, I did that. I end up getting married. The first time the then wife, she was in ministry, praise and worship leader, and an evangelist, and it didn't work out. At the time, I was playing, but I knew something God had put some in me, and I was playing, just doing what I do at the time, and but I felt like I was being pushed back, and at the time, her gift was being pushed forward, and it's like, okay, maybe I ain't got nothing.
You talking about playing keys?
Yeah,
Okay.
and ain't got nothing else. And so I began to deal with rejection. Even with that, I began to understand. Even within my hope and the familiarity of your area you grew up in and family, you know, they really don't understand what was on your life. So when people don't understand something, a lot of times they can reject it. It's not because they don't love you. And I had to understand it. They just don't understand. And so I struggle with rejection a whole lot. And so sometimes those moments do come up, even with that, you know. And so, but anyway, so dealt with that. But I knew it was other things inside of me. So I remember when I got married, we ended up separating, getting divorced because I got a divorce from her the first time. And stuff happened. I ended up moving to Texarkana. Now, prior to that, the Lord had gave me a dream because one thing I'm learning about God is that what you think He need to be dealing with, that ain't what He want to deal with.
Correct.
All the time.
Like Elijah. Like, don't you understand? I just went through a warfare. This is my place under the juniper tree.
Right.
I need some help. I'm not.
Right.
And he said, "Get up and rise and eat. There's a great journey for you. Don't worry about that." You know. And so you know, I was going through. I ended up trying to find a place, and I had a dream. And in that dream, I was going back and forth from a classroom. This is a true dream, no cap. I was going back and forth from a classroom, and I would go and then from classroom to like a small church service, back to a classroom, back to a church service. And I remember in the dream, I realized, why am I looking for Prophetess Juanita Bynum? In the dream, I'm looking for Prophetess Dr. Juanita Bynum. And so I go into this classroom. And there's a female teacher at the desk. I don't know if it might have been Apostle Finley, and I didn't know it at the time. But I go up to the teacher's desk and I said, "Hey, have you seen Dr. Bynum?" And she was like, "No, I have not seen her." And so I was getting ready to turn and go out the classroom door. And there was a desk, a student desk right by the door. And in comes Prophetess Juanita Bynum. And she sits down at the student desk. And I go up to her and I kneel down at the desk, like on my knees. She puts her hand on my forehead and whispers in my ear and says, "Not a prophet and apostle."
Wow.
And I woke up out the dream.
Jesus.
Now, watch this. I felt a tingling sensation when I woke up out the dream when she laid hands on me. And I said, "Okay, all right." I'm like, what is
I need a
this?
translation, Lord.
Right. So you mean,
I need an interpretation, please.
Right,
Thank you.
Right. So I was like, you know, I carried that for a long time. I'm like, okay, you know. But anyway, so at that time, the Lord said, I need you to, because I had getting ready to move to Texas County. He said, I need you to surround yourself with apostles and prophets. I understand why. And make a long story short, you know, there's I'm gonna go through some other parts depending on what other questions you got. But yeah, at that time I ended up moving to Texarkana, and that's where another phase of my life happened.
Wow.
So
yeah, Texarkana.
Did you understand what the dream meant?
At the time, I didn't, but I do know now. Based off what I've studied and read. Now, unless you want to, y'all talk to us tonight. You wanted to do a little small teaching, interpretation.
I was about to say, there's not a lot of room for interpretation here.
Right. Yeah, I would just
pretty
say.
clear there.
Right, it's pretty clear. Right.
Yeah. So
We'll tell you though. It's pretty straightforward.
Right.
Yeah. Did you
So what part of, because both of you all are prophets, apostle, what parts of the prophetic don't people understand and know, since both of you all are prophets, that people don't see, that you would tell somebody? Like,
so speak to the person that is like, I want to be a prophet. I think the Lord is calling me to be a prophet.
Jumping to.
What would you tell them?
Can I start this off?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. The people that's running to be a prophet, just making sure that's what you is for real. You know, because you can prophesy. The Bible said that we should covet that. We should want it, you know, very very much so, right? But prophesying doesn't mean that you're a prophet. And one thing that I have learned about this here walk as a prophet, most people, they enjoy your company until you actually have to deliver a word. And because the prophets do not come we might get a word with, a house or something like that. That's usually not it.
Very seldom.
Like prophets that come with, as the oracle of God, they come with some kind of warning or some kind of correction. And nobody wants either one of those, because the warnings come because you're not listening. So, if you were listening, there would be no need for the prophet, right? So, if you could see it yourself and you were actually paying attention to it, you wouldn't need the prophet. So God sends the prophet to say, hey, pay attention to this. Hey, don't do that. Hey, the Lord said this, right? And sometimes it comes with, and if you don't, right, this is what's going to happen, right? And so, I wouldn't be quick to run to that, because there is a reason that prophets, even as they're growing up, they deal with levels of rejection, because the Lord, everything that is about our lives, we're in preparation for what he's called us to do. And so you have to get tough skin. Like you cannot be a prophet and not have tough skin. That doesn't exist. You know what I mean? And so at the end of the day, because you have to be able to, as they said, not be afraid of men in their faces. You got to be able to, shake the dust from your feet, because you got to also know that when you deliver this word, that it's just like Jeremiah, right? Didn't he get mad? He was like, these folks weren't gonna listen to me. You set me up in here. Why?
You lose some of those same friends you was talking about.
You know what I'm saying? But then he was like, ain't that the fire shut up in my... Okay. So, but he was like, I can't contain it because it's welling up. You know what I mean? And so that is the life of a prophet. So people, a lot of times they want to be something because it looks glamorous, but like we see the things that other people may not be able to see. And we be like, dog, y'all can't see that? Like it's right there. Like, you know what I mean? And so that there's a frustration that comes with it. Because we see things, and everything that we see, we can't say. And so
that's more maturity.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Like you have to be able to see and not say sometimes. And that's frustrating. You know what I mean? And you got to try to hold your face, and my face talk before my mouth open.
Every prophet face talk before they mouth.
It's like, oh, face broke, fix it. Hey, praise the Lord. And so there's these different levels that we have to balance, and that's also why I think a lot of times you'll find that prophets are goofy when they're not like engulfed in Jesus, because I think that's the balance that the Lord gives, so that the weightiness of what they see or what they're asked to do, they have an internal outlet. So that's
and you don't want to. I think the other thing is you don't want to see some of the stuff you see.
Right.
Like it's not that you're going out to see.
Right.
Because some of the stuff he shows you is like, I don't want to say that. I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want any of the smoke of it.
Right.
So you're absolutely right.
We out here, Paul's writing letters to the church, child.
Right.